Good morning, good night, good afternoon for everyone around the planet that is viewing this now. And well, and for those who are here live with us, Diogo, Jananda, Guilherme, Richard, and of course, Steph. Well, this is the second round of conversations about the alpha exploration of the E2C token. And of course, all the value proposal of HAPPONOMY, right? And we have a lot of things to explore, and we have a little more time than the first one. We have about 2 hours, and that's it. Let's try. I said to Steph, I shared with Steph that the first time I lost myself in timing, and I ask him for forgive me in that sense.
That's okay.
Forgive him, because you see, it's a very passionate thing. It's related to, of course, not only my life but the life of hundreds of people, and it's a very sensible and a very emotional thing for me. So I'm very attached to it because it's part of my life, right, in daily basis. And so that's why it's very interesting to have another explorers here, like Diogo Lopes, like Jananda, like Richard that just came on. And so we could share another perspective too, Steph. That's important. So we're gonna. I think that we might organize a little bit this encounter today. We can start continuing the presentation of E2C token and hear your questions about it, Steph, or we can make a round presentation, you to get to know better Diogo Lopes, Guilherme Cheese, you know, but Diogo Lopes and even Jananda and Richard that is here. Or we can go directly to HAPPONOMY and we get a grip about HAPPONOMY here. What do you think that it would be the good pace for us?
Well, from our last conversation, I think I grasped how the E2C token system works. So to me, with any monetary system that's created, what is mainly important is, where does the money get created? Where does it get destroyed? And are there any other incentives to make it flow throughout the system? With what I grasped from E2C token is, whenever someone sees someone else doing something for the community, they generate tokens and give it to them. And then those people, when they want to buy something for themselves as a good or a service, the money is not transferred to the person delivering them the good or the service, but the money is burned. That's kind of the
that's it.
Dynamics of the system, right?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah, that's it. But you see, we try to use some neologisms like you're not buying, you're accessing, right? So this move.
Yeah, okay, but those, I think those I understand. But to understand the system, I kind of we're going to get down to the core of things and not start discussing about terms. And I'm more than willing to adapt your terminology that you access goods and then you burn the money and you don't spend it. And I also see the behavioral nudges because people will start doing more for the community, because that way they can actually they get access to money with which they then can access goods and services within the community. So I see the behavioral nudges in the system. I see the mechanical workings of the system. I think the only thing that I might be lacking is the vocabulary, but at this point I don't think that is that important.
Yeah, I agree totally with you. And something else that I would like to aggregate is that, you see, culturally speaking, this is a very social P2P technology. So like a social P2P technology, it needs time to sink in, to people to understand there's a mindset behind, right? And that's why neologisms serves a purpose for that. So people can use those neologisms to decohere or cohere in another way, right? That's why
Yeah.
I just mentioned that. Okay, Steph. So let me welcome Hugo. Is a very good friend of ours and
Hey,
explorer
how
from
are you all?
E2 too. Yeah.
Hi.
Welcome, Richard,
Hello.
Nivea, and let's go. So, how do you want to do this, Steph? Do you want to share with us a little bit about Happonomy so we can dive
Sure.
in together?
Yeah.
Go on.
Happonomy was founded by Bruno, a colleague of mine. Actually, it started off as a project, I think 9 years ago or something, within TEDx Leuven. And he at the time was mainly doing research on what do people need to have a good life. So what are the necessities we need in life to actually be content and happy in our life. He wrote a book about that, Happonomy. In that, he did some research where he came up with a total of 21 values in 5 categories that if we have all those, then people actually do have a good life. Now, you can have a discussion on exactly what those components are. And as they say in systems thinking, every model is wrong. Some are useful. The value canvas we developed from it is a model which is, like all models, wrong, but useful. It is sufficiently complete to have, to really bring meaning to an organization, to an individual, to an entrepreneur, to society in general. The mission of Happonomy is to create an economic system which supports our well-being. Instead, today, a lot of people actually sacrifice their well-being to support the economic system, and we want to turn that around. We've got 3 pillars on which we build. One, which I am mainly involved with, is money, and not just standard money as we know today, but I'm specifically looking into monetary systems and how monetary systems influence our behavior. And from there, the goal is how to create money that nudges us towards good behavior instead of the current system, which has a lot of nudges that kind of pushes us towards destructive behavior. The other pillar is meaningful work. And currently, most political leaders always talk about jobs, jobs, jobs. Now we need to create jobs, but the quality of those jobs is never questioned. So a job is just a job. I here also want to make the distinction between work and jobs. A job is just paid work. So that means there's a lot of work that's not being paid. And we currently live in a system, in an economic system where income depends on paid work. While there's a lot of very valuable work like raising kids, volunteer work, giving mental support to friends that are in need, which does not show up on the GDP and therefore is not really valued in the economic system we have today. The third pillar, this is something we're still working on, is technology. Looking at technology that actually supports our quality of life. There's also a lot of technology that doesn't. So that's kind of the short run of what we do at Happonomy. Well, our value model, more like it. What we do is we've got people that do research. I'm one of them. We also do workshops with value-oriented entrepreneurs and organizations that want to shift to a value-oriented business model. For that, we've got a couple of models. The value canvas is one of them. Our website a new website will be coming online probably end of this week, and there the LEAP model will be introduced, which is a roadmap for organizations that want to transform into a value-oriented organization, and all the roadblocks you enter along the way, and what you need to take care of. That's a within system model, because most of my work is geared towards new systems, but we also have a lot of work that we do within the current system to at least make it better, and introduce a couple of dynamics that increase our well-being there too. Since shifting towards a new system it takes some time. We've got a speakers network with that well, as people that speak at events, they do TED Talks and stuff like that. And then we've got our federation, which is a group of self-employed people that you can hire through HAPPONOMY to help you out with any value-oriented well-being stuff you have. That's kind of the gist of it. Maybe okay. HAPPONOMY.org.
Would you like to give us a tour? I just opened, share the image of your current platform site.
Sure. But I currently just see a blank page. Okay, there we go.
Okay, wait a minute. That is
Vinícius, você não está gravando?
Yes, I am recording, my friend. I am recording. Just a sec, because it's very... Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
That's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So when you would show the video, it kind of explains the value model a little bit.
Yes.
About, yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
HAPPONOMY. It may sound strange at first. Its origins? Easy, happiness, and economy, put in a single word. We believe everyone has the right to live a life of high quality. To get there, we need an economy that fully supports all our needs. Those of our bodies, minds, and, for lack of a better word, souls. Our current system served its purpose, and we can upgrade it for the good of everyone, including people who are wealthy today. That's where we want to help. Together, we can make the HAPPONOMY happen. Join us.
It kind of explains just what we stand for and what we want to go to. Most of the models you can find under, well, here you can explore the model. There's an animation there. Under knowledge, you can also see the models, and you can see the different models. If you want to watch the animation, that's fine.
Allow us to introduce HAPPONOMY. Sounds familiar? Chances are you're thinking of the word economy. HAPPONOMY is something quite different though. It's an economy that aims to maximize the well-being and happiness of its members. Sounds a little dry, you say? Au contraire. Allow us to elaborate. HAPPONOMY is based on one simple truth. Together, we have the ability to create a world where everybody can live in abundance, not just materially, but also intellectually and spiritually. To fully understand what well-being represents across the globe, we dove headfirst into tons and tons of research in the field of economics, psychology, and neurobiology. We wanted to know, what is it that people truly need? We then poured our findings into the HAPPONOMY model, consisting of 5 spheres and 21 dimensions. Its primary goal? Help people to understand and improve their well-being step by step. So which 5 spheres determine our well-being? It all starts with survival, or meeting our most basic needs, such as food and water, air and sleep to fuel our bodies. We also want to feel at ease. Insecurity is part of our DNA. That is why we all strive to feel at ease, whether this means feeling safe, being financially secure, or staying healthy. Add some basic comfort, privacy, and freedom to make our own choices to the menu, and we can thrive. To connect with the people around us and strive to develop meaningful relationships, whether that is with our partner, family, friends, or community, is another sphere that we all want covered. In addition to connection, we also like to grow. We like to apply and develop our skills, experience new things, and rationally understand our surroundings. And finally, letting go enables us to leave our conscious mind behind to help others and express ourselves creatively. Our highest selves also understand we need to preserve our planet for future generations so that we can feel at peace with both ourselves and the world. So, this is the theory behind happonomy. Putting it into practice, however, is where things become really interesting. Curious to know how? Join Happonomy and we'll show you. That's right, you too can create abundance.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What kind of organization is interested in happonomy?
Currently, we work with entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized organizations that want to make a shift towards a more sustainable business model.
And do you have a specific segment where they are working, or it's just everywhere?
For that, I should actually talk to my colleague Bruno. I mainly occupy myself with the research on monetary systems. I do know we have one organization which is called Roof Food. They cultivate food on roofs.
Mm-hmm.
There's an organization in Leuven that is occupied with circular economy that we're working with. I also know that Bruno told me that there are some financial organizations that are interested in what we do too, but I do not know where we actually have projects running there.
Right. And also another question is, so you talked about organizations, and in a more individual level, you talked about the federation.
Yeah.
And are there any other ways that as individuals, people can work with you? Not work, but who is interested in this besides organizations? And what do they do with happonomy?
Well, we've got, the federation is actually a group of self-employed entrepreneurs. I don't know whether it's there, maybe under solutions. The federation, yeah, there you go. These are people that believe in the concept that we're working with. And what we actually have there is we have a pool of expertise. And whenever we have a project from an organization, we ask the people in our federation, do you want to join us on the project? Now, it's not that they are completely dependent on happonomy for their work. It's more, there is a possibility they get work through us, but it's not a guarantee. So we're not an employment agency in that sense.
Right.
Does it really have two models here? One for freelancers, another for organizations. They are very, or just the way to do is different, or it's the same?
Well, it's a different scale. A freelancer has a different set of issues to deal with than an organization. So that's why, because actually a third level will be added to it, which is the governmental level. So you will actually have individual, organizational, and governmental levels. But that will be made clear when our next version of our website comes online, hopefully by the end of the week. Also, the federation is also there if other organizations want a certain type of expertise, they can just come to the website and look into the federation and contact the people directly.
I found it interesting how I'll use the terms warp drive. So the Federation is Star Trekky, isn't it? Is a little bit geeky and trekky. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of terms that we stole from Star Trek.
So, oh, they're gonna copyright you, man. But it's okay. Let's go.
Well, I don't think that the word warp drive is copyrighted. But
No, I'm just kidding.
Do you know a business model called not a business model, but it's called Flourishing Business Canvas?
no.
It's a business model that's more towards because I work with design thinking and innovation and foresight, and there's this business model that is more towards a life-centered approach instead of a human-centered, and you put values there that are not just financial. So it really, it reminded me of the Flourishing Business Canvas.
It could be that because Bruno created the business model we're working with, and I do remember that he said he got some inspiration from another one, but it could be that one. Because what we do is when we work with entrepreneurs, for example, we take them through a trajectory, and one of the first things we do, we ask them is, what is really valuable in your life? So we use the value canvas for that, and we make them make a profile on the value canvas of which of the 21 values are most prominent to them in their lives. Then from there, we let them think what would a good life look like? And then at the end, we calculate how much a good life would cost, and then ask them, how much do you want to work? Not how much do you have to work, but how much do you want to work? And based on that, we calculate what we call a good life rate. So that's an hourly or daily rate to strive for, to have a good life. But it also means that once you have that, you don't need more. That's your level of sufficiency. And that number will be different for every individual. And within the organization, because we're currently building on a for-profit part with which we will do our consulting business. We're building a ledger. Everyone who contributes to building the organization, every hour they spend on working on it, because we currently don't have the budget, is recorded in the ledger at their good life rate. So different people will be recorded in the ledger at a different rate, and no one has a problem with that. So there are people that will earn more per hour than other people, but we're all okay with that because everyone's like, well, this is my good life rate. I do not need more for my good life, and we are not judgmental towards the people that need more for their good life, because everyone has their own needs and wants, but there's also a limit to it. It steps away from this idea that people would always want more.
That sounds really great.
Yeah. Stef, one more thing. When you guys thought about the entrepreneur itself, you thought it in a very universal way, or it has some prerequisites to be a part of HAPPONOMY? What I'm saying is a guy from Uganda that has a very harsh environment in all means, he sees himself as an entrepreneur. How HAPPONOMY welcomes him?
It all depends on people's value sets. We choose to work together with people that want to add value to society, and this can be in any field. We're definitely not judgmental towards people, but we do want people in our organization that are value oriented. If if say Shell tomorrow would come and say like, oh, we want to invest in Happonomy, here's $1 billion, we would decline because their value set does not align with ours.
I have one question.
Yeah.
How do you contemplate in this Happonomy the issue of leadership and self-regulation? Because when you say we're not judgmental, I see in my way of seeing a lack of systems or a lack of resources to self-regulate. For instance, if someone goes overboard in their needs, I mean, people will need to discuss it and talk about it, right? And say, well, this is unsustainable. So this is self-regulation, and leadership, because it's a big issue now in economy. Like, you know, we need leaders. We're lacking leaders.
I think the connection dropped.
Yeah, I think so, but he will come back.
Yeah.
Let's wait a little bit because he's asking. So
it is a related issue. How do you contemplate that?
Okay, I missed the last 30 seconds of what you said, but we currently haven't had that issue yet. What we do is whenever we notice that someone is going overboard, we tackle the issue at that moment, and then we say like, we need to have a chat. But we've had some issues with quality of work here and there, but then we just sit down with the people and we say like, we need to talk about this. And up till now, it has always resolved everything.
Okay.
I'm sure that happens because we're so used to the current system that it's hard at some point not to get lost if you're trying to go to another direction. So at some point we always have to, you know, sit down and rethink what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, I guess it also has to do with we've very carefully built an organization culture, and whenever someone says like, oh, I want to become part of the federation, we tell them, okay, but you have to do the 3-day trajectory towards value-oriented on entrepreneurship. Because that's where in over a course of 3 days, we bring people through the entire value set and the entire value-oriented way of thinking that we use at Happonomy. And that usually filters out those people that do not align with the value set. And because
it's interesting what you're saying, because when I browse here and I say solutions, you have solutions for leaders, right? What is a leader in this changing time, right? We have the old definitions of leaders. What are the new definitions for leaders, right? What would be a leader in a very changing time, a paradigm shift changing time? So how do this ecosystem of people called Happonomy that has its value system related to abundance, right? Abundance, logic of abundance, or abundance logic. How do you understand the concept and the praxis of leaders?
Well, leaders have to be empowering. A good leader makes sure that the people that follow him or her are empowered and are facilitated so that they can do their work in the best way possible.
Okay, I understand it, because you see, this is a question that I'm always asking. I think folks here that are here too are always asking about what kind of leader or leadership we're talking for this third decade of the 21st century. So this is not something given, or at least for almost of us here today. So that's very interesting how you guys frame it in the happonomy economy.
Yeah. Well, it's also a leader also needs to be able to listen to what's going on. You cannot be a leader if you don't listen to the people around you. You need to be aware of the context, of the dynamics, of the relationships, and then with that knowledge become a facilitator of change.
And usually those organizations, they absolutely need a leader, or you have already worked with like no leadership, or everyone's a leader, or something different?
We are current, Happonomy itself currently works as a network organization. So there is no leader in the classical sense of the word. We have a board of 4 people, of which I am one. And for certain things, we go to certain people, and then, but it's not your classical hierarchy of a normal organization. And we also we like people to take their own initiative. If it is very impactful on the organization, because of course we also need to make sure we have the resources to support what people are doing. So if certain initiatives are very impactful, we do ask people like communicate back with us to see what that we know what the impact would be in the organization. But there's actually quite a lot of freedom in the organization for people to do their own thing.
So we're going to have a round of questions here, and the first one is with Vânia. Vânia is going to ask in Portuguese, and I'm going to translate it.
Okay.
Vânia, meu amor, pode falar em português que a gente faz a tradução.
Bom dia, good morning. Eu tenho dificuldade na fluência do inglês, eu consigo pegar uma palavrinha ou outra, mas assim, eu acompanhei o primeiro encontro da semana passada.
She was with us in the first encounter last week. She understands a word or so, but I was talking about her, about happonomy, so go on, please, Vânia. Então pode ir, Vânia, pode ir.
Sim, então, 2 pontos que geraram minha curiosidade, eu gostaria de expressar aqui. O Stef, ele comentou sobre o token E2C, o quanto é diferente das moedas que ele já ouviu falar, né? Dentro da pesquisa dele, que é bastante vasta. E, ao mesmo tempo, a questão foi como tornar isso um algoritmo, né? Porque a ideia é que se torne um token, mas que se torne uma criptomoeda. Então, como é que seria isso, né? Os papos começaram a partir daí, até essa nossa interação com ele. Esse é um ponto. Quer falar agora, Vinícius, sobre isso, ou posso apresentar outro?
Eu vou falar agora. Okay, so she said, Stef, that one of the things that's behind this encounter, this exploration encounter between the empathic alpha exploration of E2C token and the happonomy ecosystem, is to see how E2 token would run with technology, right? Would run as an app or as a platform, or as an app web platform. And she would like to, even she make a reference if it would have any type of interface with blockchains, currencies like cryptocurrencies. If you see that happening for E2C token, so that's the first question that she's making.
Well,
Então, deixa ele responder essa primeira, depois ele responde a segunda. Ok, Stef, go.
Tá.
Okay, I've got a. Are you talking about running the E2C token on certain technology, or are you talking about the SumC model that we have?
Yeah, that's it. It can be both, because as explorers, we already have smart contracts on E2C token on the testing ground of Ethereum blockchain, but it's only there on the testing ground. It's not official. But it doesn't work with the same mechanics that works like a social P2P technology. And so she wants to understand your perspective, your view of if it's something that it's more favorable to run on a HAPPONOMY ecosystem, or to have an interface with blockchain's technology.
Well, actually, those are two different things, because the models we have at HAPPONOMY are implementation neutral. We are currently looking into which technology we're going to use for our sustainable money system. We've already come to the conclusion that blockchain is not an option, due to the fact that the number of transactions per second is just too low to be scalable. That's one thing. Any cryptocurrency that uses proof of work is not sustainable because it uses way too much energy. So you need to go for either for proof of stake, which Ethereum at one point was working with, but to be really honest, I don't see a lot of it anymore. We're now currently looking into something else. A friend of mine is looking into local ledgers that every person would actually manage their own ledger. So you do not have 100% cryptographic security, but you build in kind of a social element in it. Like, say, all of us have their own ledger.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, and it is possible to tamper with it. It's difficult. The thing is still encrypted and everything, but say there is a possibility to tamper with it. When I do a transaction with you, your app can actually check whether I have tampered with my ledger. So there's a fraud detection mechanism in it. So although it is technically possible for me to tamper with that ledger, it is socially not really interesting for me to do so, because if I then do a transaction with you and your app discovers like, oh, your ledger has been tampered with, you might refuse to do that transaction with me. So the social cost of tampering with your ledger is really high.
Yeah, Stef, that's a very long answer, so I'm going to try to break this and have the help with Jananda and Guga, if they might. Então, Vânia, o que ele respondeu para a gente é que eles descobriram que a tecnologia de blockchain para dar vida a criptomoedas não é o ideal para o ecossistema do HAPPONOMY. Tá? O ecossistema do HAPPONOMY, econômico do HAPPONOMY, porque tem limitações. Limitações para você poder fazer a emissão, a transação de tempo, né? É lento. Então, eles vêm pesquisando outras formas de registros. E uma forma que ele não falou dessa forma, mas eu acho que o pessoal aqui vai concordar comigo, é fazer registro de forma mais distribuída. Ele falou de local, né? Registros locais, mas onde cada pessoa faria o seu próprio registro. Não é isso, Guga? Eu acho que foi isso que ele quis dizer. Cada pessoa faria seu próprio registro.
Vinícius,
Oi, diga, querido.
Você tá me ouvindo? Não, desculpa, cara, é que eu tô tendo que cuidar de uma questão de trabalho aqui, não tô podendo dar atenção plena aqui, que eu tô com um pepino rolando, que eu tô tendo que resolver enquanto eu tô ouvindo aqui. Desculpa.
Tá, mas esses registros locais, eles seriam feitos de que forma, Vini?
São tecnologias, de registro como blockchain, só que operam de uma lógica diferente. tá? Tipo assim, a coisa não é totalmente centralizada ou descentralizada numa tecnologia que faz a captura de valor, tem um algoritmo que roda, faz a transação e emite, né, a criptomoeda. É uma dinâmica diferente, né? Então eles estão atualmente fazendo uma pesquisa nesse sentido, entendeu? Eles estão pesquisando essas outras tecnologias de registro, porque o blockchain é uma tecnologia de registro, né, de transações. Né?
Tá, tudo bem por enquanto. Obrigada.
Então, so that's it, Stef. I think she caught it a little bit.
Okay.
And let's continue. I want to ask if folks have any questions. It's important to hear Richard, Diogo Lopes, Shana, Amanda, that's here. Hello, Amanda. Good. Where's your smile?
Hello.
Yay.
It's here.
Yeah, very good. So if folks has questions to make, please feel free. Because we're going to try to still to talk about E2C token, of course, and about the Fluxus platform that's here with us. Any more questions to Stef?
I am completely new, so I don't know, and I just drop in the middle. But it looks like Theory U or something.
No, it's actually, this is the HAPPONOMY website.
Yes, but whose is it and who thought about it, or is it not from anybody here?
Yeah, I'm from HAPPONOMY actually.
Yeah. So it looks like a Theory U. You first do something, and then you do something, and then you do something, and then.
No, this is the thing you see on the screen now is our value canvas.
Yeah.
And we use it in trajectories we do with organizations and value-oriented entrepreneurs, where you could also do it on a personal level and say like, okay, which of these values are most important in my life, and how much of those values are present in my life. Because research has shown that if you have all 21 of these values, which they're subdivided into 5 blocks, then this would be the basis for a qualitative life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Has this been tried in very people in need? I mean, with populations that are either low on information or with material hardship to deal with. Has this been used in any place that are more in need?
Not that I know of, but I would find it really interesting if it could be tried out in those situations and see what it brings.
I have another question. Is it also a ledger, or is it just a value canvas, or what is it?
This is just a value canvas. We also have a monetary system that we've developed, which is called the Sustainable Money System. And there we would be working with, well, like I just explained on a previous question, we decided to not work with a blockchain ledger, but we would be working with a personally managed ledger, and then we build in some social consequences for when you tamper with the ledger. For example, I do a transaction with you.
Yes, but do you use these values?
With your, what?
Sorry. Do you use these values within the token system?
In a way, it's more that the monetary system we designed is designed in such a way that it maximizes the values on the value canvas. A monetary system has a huge influence on behavior. Our current monetary system actually steers us towards destructive behavior, and we've created a monetary system that steers us towards constructive, collaborative, and future-oriented behavior.
So from what you're saying, I see why you were at first interested in the E2C token, because there are some similarities in the values. But what exactly do you see from E2C that is really connected to those values from HAPPONOMY? Exactly.
Well, what I see is the E2C token system has is a very strong nudge towards community building, because you cannot, if you do not do anything for the community, you will not be able to get to acquire money to then use to access other goods. So your access to goods and services within the community depends on your contribution to the community. So it's a very very strong,
and from your experience,
behavioral drive that is building. Yeah.
And from your experience working with the HAPPONOMY canvas, do you see E2C as something that would be desirable by those people that are interested in an alternative way of being? Do you see that it is something that they could actually engage to, or you think it's still too far away from disrupting their mind?
I think it's a very useful currency, but I think transitioning to it from the current system might be a big difficult, especially if you have people that are living under financial strain in circumstances that are not. If you look at, say, middle class people in the Western world, I think it would be really hard to get them to make the step towards the E2C currency system, because there's a very individualistic approach to life here, and it would be you need to transition towards an in between to be able to come to that. Oh yeah, I just need to contribute to the community, and then things will be fine. And that's something that you need to take into account too.
If I can contribute a little bit here, what I feel about E2C is that it has the potential in its structure not only to aggregate value from people that contributed to the system, but it has a potential to shift the community's value towards a goal. Let's say the community involved in using the E2C has the potential to print value towards the direction. Let's say today we feel that we need to support the elderly, and most people will feel that way, and they will print their value in their way they can do that in E2C, that say, well, I shift my value towards supporting elderly people that never contributed materially to anything, let's say, or someone in need, or a miserable person, you know. So we have in this way we have a way to communally shifting value towards a purpose, and divesting value from others, from other places, you know. I feel it has this potential, you know.
Yeah, but when I hear you talk,
you get it.
I kind of want to ask a question: that are you shifting value or forcing a shifting value? Because if tomorrow I can only earn money by helping the elderly, I'm actually being forced into serving the elderly, And what if I want to do something else that I find valuable and that the people around me find valuable, but that is not on the value list of today? So what do you do with the freedom in the personal freedom in choice?
Well, I don't have an answer for that, but I think
essentially
that we have. Well, I'm not an economist. It's just that by the way that I sense that E2C is structured, you know, and I can see that, you know. For example, I was a participant, and Vinicius felt that because I offered something, I was worth something, you know, and he offered me so much in value, you know, and people agreed with that.
Yeah.
And they could have offered me 100,000 or one unit, and so there's a balance there that is agreed, you know, and the total value of the economy that people are sharing, you know, and I feel this is a democratic way to decide what is worth, you know, and perhaps, you know, there's ways to be very dynamic and with many directions, you know. It doesn't need to be one direction, you know. People are going to be investing and voting value for this and that. So this is one of the things I feel that naturally it has limitations, naturally has problems, you know, but it seems to me that it's something that happens in E2C.
Yeah.
What I think that is, so when you were talking about how the monetary system influences our behavior, it's, for me, it's also the other way around. So E2C, for me personally, I think that the take is that it makes people think about how they are contributing and be more aware of how they are consuming, right? So I don't see E2C as, well, right now I don't see it as the currency, the only currency, but it would be something that runs in parallel with our current system, so we can help people be more aware of their own behaviors and look to the other people as well. So it's like making people really connect with other people. So this is a change on behavior already, right? And what for what Guga was saying is that I don't think, I think this is very organic, so people will decide how they're going to spend it.
Yeah, but that's actually the design of the system that encourages that type of behavior. That's what I mean with the influence of a monetary system on people's behavior. If you our current monetary system, which creates money from debt, I think about 97% of all money in the world that is going around in the world has an equal amount of debt somewhere, which means that the debt has to be repaid. When you repay the debt, you actually destroy money. That's the way our system works. There's a couple of aspects that create a certain type of behavior. The fact that there's this constant debt that is looming for a lot of people means that you're being incentivized to look for at least enough money to pay off your debt, and then you need some more because otherwise you can't live. But since all money in the economy is debt, that creates a huge scarcity problem, because everyone's looking for enough money to pay off their debt and a little bit more. But there is only the amount of money in the economy is not larger than the amount of debt in the economy. So you create a problem where everyone goes into competition over a resource, namely money, which is scarce. And on top of that, if you pay off your debt, you destroy money. And we need constant lending, just to keep money in our society. If tomorrow everyone were to pay off all their bank debts, all money would be gone. There would be no money left in our current system. The other aspect that our current money has is that you can store it indefinitely. On top of that, if you have enough of it, then you can make more money with it. So you can use money to earn money as soon as you have enough. Another thing that it does is it does not provide any financial security. No matter how much money you have, you will always have the feeling that just a little bit more would be safe. And once you have it a little bit more, then a little bit more would be safe. And this is something that unless you really, really consciously start to process this, it will never stop. I myself have been in the situation that I inherited a large inheritance. At one point, I literally had €1 million on my account. At that point, my fear of losing that money actually drove me towards irrational behavior. I was conscious enough to realize that was happening, but my desire at that point was not to just say like, okay, you know, I need to manage it and need to make sure that I don't spend it all in one go. No, my instinctive reaction was, I need to make sure it grows. It would be better if it grows a little bit every year. But that's unsustainable, because if I have €1 million and I have no debt, then that means someone somewhere must carry that €1 million in debt. So someone's in deep shit. Okay, it can be distributed amongst a whole bunch of people, but that €1 million in debt has to be carried by someone. So it's a system that has to have losers, because otherwise you can't have winners. And that's really destructive. And since you can store an indefinite amount of it, you can just go for more and more and more and more.
Yeah, Stef, it's a win-lose situation. The design is designed for that.
No, it's actually a lose-lose situation, to be honest, because even the very rich are constantly under financial stress.
Yeah.
Different causes than the poor, but their financial stress is real.
Yeah, you're right.
But you're saying let me try to understand it, because this is kind of new to me. That the ballast of the economy is debt. Is that it? What secures? But it is all debt, or there's real value and in infrastructure and material value, and this is a smaller part, and then that is the biggest part.
Well, there are some asset-backed loans, but for every euro, dollar, yen that is in the system, there is a euro, dollar, or yen in debt somewhere. On average.
Okay.
It could be that it's only 97 cents to the dollar, but
most of the economy is ballasted in debt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can, if you want to, I'll send you a paper. I read it yesterday, which explains it really well.
And this is because of future markets and stuff like that.
No, it's just the way money is created. You go to the bank. A lot of people still think that if you go to the bank and you get a loan, that the bank lends you money from other people, but that's not the case. If you go to the bank and you get a loan, the bank creates that money on your account. You say you go to the bank, you say, I want $100,000 in lend. I want to lend $100,000. I want to borrow $100,000. The bank creates the full $100,000 on your account. On the other side of the balance sheet, they create $100,000 in debt. And when you pay back the capital, the money is destroyed. Paying off bank debt destroys money.
Oh. This is intense.
Yeah, it is. It is something that a lot of people don't know, and is. It sounds really unbelievable, but it literally says so in this paper.
Okay. Vinicius, can you put it on the chat? The link?
I've put it on the chat.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I need to take a 3-minute break, but I will be back.
All right.
Hold on a second.
Nice. Go on. Então,
What
gente,
he was saying was connected
let's continue. Let's
hear
continue
you
in
actually.
English because we have Shanna and Amanda here. And Shanna, you made a very interesting question. When he come back, it would be nice if you ask him directly. Okay, if you might. Are you with sound today?
Sure.
Yeah, you're here.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Yay.
Yeah,
Yay.
Shanna is
A little sleepy this
Shanna is
morning.
doing a very interesting experiment with I think there were shoppers like you in your region where you're sharing resources, all types of resources. Could you elaborate a little bit for us to understand what type of experiment are you doing in this way to access all types of resources for the shopping community? I don't know how we call it.
Well, yeah, I think it's something that I guess I'm still wrestling with, but it came up in the context of me, being engaged in a community of antique dealers and flea market and upcycle, recycle folks, and some big markets that are here in the States, Brimfield and Round Top. Brimfield, Mass is actually the big show, would be going on now. They call it a show, but it's just a big market. I call it the Brimfield Markets or Brimming Fields, 20 minutes from where I grew up, where, vendors come out and resell, and, it's just a vibrant place of creativity and community. And 3 years ago, I jumped back into it just in my own kind of new season emergences. And I kind of froze. I don't know if you, let me know if you can't hear me, but
Oh, it's okay.
Trying to get a sense for, kind of where I was, how I was going to engage in it all, and my own joys that I found in it, and everything that I enjoyed there that was kind of a, it kind of popped to life and then disappeared, and all of this wealth of resource, a lot of it just went into storage, so we're paying to store all these things. And there was also just all this vitality that then just, you enjoyed for just a poof of experience, and then it went away. It was like this mirage. And so it was just a contemplation, I guess, that arose. I thought, oh, am I going to have a little shop? I opened up with "Welcome to Glorious Day," and then this kind of hashtag "Shop Glorious Day" kind of came to me. Of, I say Glorious Day is an emerging expression of a collective heartbeat. There was kind of like I started to tune in to the vitality and the life that was in it all, and found myself just kind of in this wealth, like we talk about, all this abundance that are the way that we experienced it before or engaged with it before. It seemed the most kind of timely and needful to surface all this and make it more available, all this abundance that isn't just at these markets, but you think about everything that's stored up in eBay and Etsy and Poshmark and you name all the marketplaces online, as well as look at all the storage units that we've built, like this massive industry of storage units and all the extra that people have in their homes and their garages, and they're, just not actually in utility. It's all this stored value, and that we would get access to the best inventory, which is all this great, not the the commodity stuff, but things that really people have invested their creative energy into, are really quality things and creative things, that they just like came and went. And I thought, gosh, you know, it feels like I'm seeing what wants to emerge and what is our wealth. But how would we actually get all of that stored into actual enjoyment, utility, beautification, you know, that it isn't hidden and it isn't really a needle in a haystack, but yeah, you know, it's meant to beautify our spaces. It's meant to create places to live. It's meant to be enjoyed and to get to know the people that made them and enjoy them. And, you know, so it was all that. And so I guess that's the transition that I've been playing with, just in terms of understanding how more of like an auction, a variable, like how do you actually bring all that out and have it exchanged and moving, as opposed to being stored, and the expense or what we miss, the opportunity, like everything that's missed because it's stored, and the cost of all that. And then how do we translate that into it actually getting into circulation, getting it, you know, what are the mechanisms we need to get it into circulation? Because it's also bogged down now too with our regulatory systems and our tax systems and our, what kind of business are you, and how do we transact, and how do I get this, you know, like I said, I don't want to list my thing on Craigslist and have a stranger come to my house just to pick up a dresser that I'm done with. I also don't want to go on Facebook Market and have to put it in a truck and meet somebody at the police station, you know, like all these ways of creating the flows of all these resources, like I think is the next frontier, you know. How do we do that? And then what's that going to do? I think for me, the question around these conversations is, we've assigned values to these things that are not actually, that have a logic to them, I guess I'd say, but they're not actually bringing the wealth of it into enjoyment, into utility, into circulation. It's still stuck. It's still all stuck. So how do we facilitate that? So I call it shop, you know, I have a, you know, I started to kind of put these things down at gloriousday.us and shopgloriousday.us. But for me, it's my own wrestling of, okay, how can we pilot something in a location? And I'm actually now in the Round Top, Texas area, which is a mecca for this. Their big shows are literally like a playground that goes on for miles, where the culture is already established around transacting in this way. And there's also massive wealth of stored, amazing resource. And so my heartbeat is to begin to pilot that here, or to begin to, you know, kind of build a community around wrestling with that. And I think it's what we're all wrestling with, which is why I feel like even saying I want to do a community, I feel like that then encloses it, which is a challenge, when I feel like it's really about how do we release and decouple and break free from what we're contained and wrestling with, as opposed to even adapting it. I just feel like it's like, I feel like we just somehow need to like bust out. But anyway, so that's some of what I've been wrestling with for the past 3 years.
Shut up, my dear. I asked her to, we're going to make a type of round table with her, if she wants even to invite the folks that are doing this experience. Would be nice. We're going to have an encounter like this, right, with Shanna and the people that are doing it, so we can deep dive and understand better how this is going. Because it's, you see, the starting point for this experience, Shanna, is that all the folks have storage, have a lot of things that are accumulated, right? So your starting point is very different from the starting point of me that's living here in Brazil, or a guy that's living in Africa. So it's a very interesting experience. Of course it is.
Well, I think I say the wealth that's stored, and a lot of people have stored, there are a lot of people who have lack. I mean, I think that's the challenge, is there is an abundance here. Not everybody, that is the challenge, right? Like it's here, and rather than continuing to make, we continue to bog down and have more and more and more that we're not recirculating. So how do we surface what we have too, so that it will rightly regulate the amount of investment and the amount of energy and work and resource that's going into new production, like that doesn't make sense given we're not seeing rightly, and the values are not, the way the whole thing is regulated is not happening rightly because we're not seeing and engaging with the fullness of what's here.
Yeah,
Right.
but you see, what
So-
you just said, Shanna, it has a relationship with Stef's HAPPONOMY take, because if I understand well, Stef, please help me here. When in this sustainable economic system of HAPPONOMY, when you see some accumulation going on, you just distribute it, and you make it accessible for people. Or when you have accumulation of money, not only stuff, goods, this goes for public utilities. This goes for the public health, for the health of the society as a whole. Could you elaborate better, Stef, how how the economy of HAPPONOMY works in a bird's eye view?
Well, and just if I could just interject real quick, so where you share this idea when I say like transacting here, you know, there are limitations or legal treachery, let's say, around bartering, around, you know, in terms of the how it's embedded in the tax system, or how you transact as a buyer versus a seller, and your tax and legal implications, and how that's categorized, and how you have to do the accounting on that, which is the thing that I say now, those are the other layers of things that bog it down, that it sounds conceptually, I'm alignment with it, but I think how do we break out of all the encumbrances and the things that bog us all down? Like if I have to do all this complex accounting every time, I just want to like, oh, and if I sell more than 5 that sell, right, all the labeling around it. So the exchange, if I sell something, then I'm a seller. Then now I'm categorized differently, where I'm like, well, but we all have to circulate. So these definitions around buyers and sellers, I feel like even that bogs us. And so anyway, just more to toss into that, you know, I can't even, you know, I have to question, wow, if I put something up on Facebook Market, is that going to count towards what the state has allowed me for things I can do, as like, I'm allowed a few tag sales, right? It's all this legacy stuff that that we're still held accountable to, that isn't suitable to where we're trying to go right now. So.
Well, it all depends on which approach you want to, if you want to do a within system change without changing any of the rules, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And another thing, the reason why people have so much stuff in their houses is also the consequence of another system that's very present in our society, which is the advertising system. If you get screamed off if constantly, when you watch television, when you listen to the radio, when you drive around, when you see billboards, everything screams at you, buy this, buy that, your kitchen needs renovation. Oh, you need this juicer, you need this kitchen knife, this will make your life better. It has an impact on us. It will nudge us towards consumption. Again, this is something that I experienced. I don't watch television anymore. I mainly watch Netflix and stuff like that, so I don't have the commercials. Last Christmas, I was on a holiday with friends in Salzburg. And there were a couple of friends of ours from the States that were there too, and they had an apartment in the commercial center of Salzburg. So every day we spend at least a couple of hours walking around in that area with all the shops and all the commercials. And after 2 or 3 days, I started feeling this compulsion to buy stuff that I knew I do not need this, but because all the shops were screaming at me, buy me, buy me, buy me. And after a while, if you're not conscious about it, you will start buying stuff that then afterwards you think like, I actually don't need this. I'll put it in storage. Because the other thing, this is a psychological thing, which is loss aversion. You buy something, and then the little thing in your brain goes like, I bought this for a reason. So I must have seen value in this. And then if I give it away or I sell it, then you'll see that next week I'll need it. So I'll put it in storage just to be on the safe side. And that's a psychological thing that is going on in our heads. Now, and the commercial system, the advertisement system, is a consequence of our monetary system, which is a scarcity system, which forces us to compete for money, which is a scarce resource. So what we have designed at HAPPONOMY is a sustainable money system, which solves a lot of these problems. I'm never going to say that it solves all problems, but it does make solving a whole lot of problems quite a lot easier. Shana, were you here when I explained how money was created?
I missed the beginning, which is, okay. I don't know if I put that in the comments, but I'm hoping to get back to listen.
Yeah, I'll briefly repeat that. A lot of people think that banks lend out money from people that save
I did
money.
catch that. Yeah, though I did grab the link. I want to go read that afterwards because I think these fundamental underlying things that we don't understand are obviously like need to come to light because they're so foundational to cracking the code.
Yeah. So what we do with the concept of the sustainable money system is you create money out of nothing also. So you create fiat money because that's what it's called when you just create money, to give everyone a guaranteed income. I prefer to use the term guaranteed income instead of universal basic income because a basic income kind of feels like that it should not be too much. At HAPPONOMY, we believe that it can be sufficient to have a good life with. So you create money to give to everyone in your economy every month. You just create it out of nothing. There is no debt on the other side. So it is money without liability. You deposit that on everyone's account every month. Now, if you don't add anything else to the system, you will start creating inflation because you constantly pump more money into the system. After a while, your inflation will go up. What you do to counter that, and I think the best way to show that is I'll show you a picture because that explains it best. Hold on a second. Okay, I'll share my screen. Yeah. So this is actually the core of how it works. So you got your money creation, your EBI or guaranteed income, which pumps money into your account. Your account is the bucket you see. The water in your bucket is the money you have on your account, but on the side, there are holes in the bucket. So once you have more money in your account, when your water rises above the level of the holes, money will start flowing out, and that money is destroyed. So what it actually does is it makes sure that the total amount of money in your system stabilizes after a while. You make sure that everyone has access to money at all times, and at the same time, you make sure that hoarding money becomes really expensive after a while. This has a couple of this has a couple of results on a behavioral level. One, it gives you financial security, which our current system does not. Because as long as you live, you will know that every month you will have new money on your account. So that brings that relaxes people. You know that whatever happens, if you lose, for some reason, you lose all your money, next month there will be new money. That's something that is not guaranteed in our current system because you can lose your job. Something bad can happen that you need to spend all your savings, and there's no guarantee whatsoever more new money will arrive in your account. In this system, the guarantee is there. It disincentivizes hoarding a whole lot of money because it will become more increasingly expensive. So people step out of the rat race of like, I need more, because you can't. Well, you can, but you would have to put in more and more work in order to keep more money in your account. What it also does is, our current system favorizes short-term capitalization. If you can make an investment that will earn you $1 billion in 3 weeks, you'll do that. If you can do an investment that will earn you $1 billion in 20 years, you'll go like, I'll go for the 3 days. In this system, you would go for the long run. Because if you earn a lot of money in a very short period of time, you're going to start paying a whole lot of demurrage on that money. So this system actually creates the incentive to make investments that give you small returns on your investment, but over the long run, which means that sustainable projects, say sustainable foresting, becomes really interesting in this system. Instead of logging all the entire forest and selling the wood for a large price, it is way more interesting to keep the forest intact and sustainably log the wood, so that every month you get a smaller amount but a steady amount of money on your account, because it is your income stream that will determine how much you can spend each month, so which will determine how luxurious your life can be. The other thing is also, from a business perspective, if you say you sell television sets, have you ever heard about Thomas Rau? Thomas Rau is a Dutch entrepreneur, and he's got, for his office building, he went to Philips and he told him, I want to buy light. And Philips said like, well, we've got our catalog of lamps. And the guy was like, I'm not interested in your lamps. I want light, not lamps. If you need lamps to produce that light, that's fine, but I'm not going to pay for that. If those lamps use electricity, I'm not going to pay for that either. I'm willing to pay for the light, but I'm not going to pay for the lamps, and I'm not going to pay for the electricity. He managed to get a contract with Philips. Philips installed the lights in his office building on their costs. They pay his electricity bill, and he pays Philips a monthly fee for the light that they produce. If a lamp breaks down, Philips comes and replaces it. The consequence of that is that Philips is gonna put lights in there that are very durable and very energy efficient, because otherwise their cost would mount. That's a business model that works perfectly together with this monetary system. Because instead of selling something for a high price and hoping that it breaks down quickly and that then they will buy at your store again, you're now gonna go, it's like, I'm gonna have a relationship with my customer, and instead of selling them a lamp or a TV, I'm gonna say like, we're gonna sign a contract that gives you a viewing experience, because no one wants a TV in their living room. No one is like, look at the beautiful black rectangle in my living room. That's my new TV. People want to watch movies, the news, documentaries. So they want to have the experience that the product gives them. Now, if the producer of the television sets rents out a viewing experience, then they can create an income stream which is way more stable than a one-off sale of a television set. It also means that those products will become more durable, repairable, upgradable, and energy efficient.
Yeah, I would say even, Stef, that this type of modeling, it's a type of reframing the actual monetary system with this sustainable economic way to generate and distribute wealth, right? And but do you consider this a paradigm shift or only a mindset shift within the system?
I think it can be the lever to cause a paradigm shift.
Okay, so
Because
I'm asking you this because I understand perfectly what you said. I think folks here did too. And I understand this as a transitional proposal for a real paradigm shift. In that sense, I see E2C token as a proposal, of a currency proposal that is already a paradigm shift in the whole sense, because we're not talking about markets per se, and we're not talking about all the things about debt or all the things about accumulation or investments in a short term or a long term. We're talking about mutual access in a network effect, right? Even for those who doesn't have the actual fiat money in hands, who doesn't have the capability to invest or lend money. So that's why I'm trying to put in my perspective here, okay? It might that Jananda has a different one, or even Guga. But I think that is the difference where I see. But I see that E2C token can really talk in a different way, in a different manner, with all this sustainable economy, HAPPONOMY proposal that you shared with us today.
I think it can be complementary. The one thing you can have in the sustainable money system, which I think makes it easier to convince people to step into it, at least some people, is if you decide, like, I just want to take care of myself and I don't care about society, you can. But by the way the system works, you won't do any damage. Or at least you will do less damage than you would do today. And what we've seen, because we've created games to have people experience the difference in monetary systems. And we've got a card game which we do workshops, and there's the board game that is a bit more complex, and that simulates a more complex economic system. But in both games, when people play the game, you see a shift in behavior. With the card game, which we've played in workshops several times already, people report every time with the sustainable money system, they experience less stress, they start collaborating more, they get more attention for common goals, they just feel better. Which was really remarkable. I did one of the tests with the board games when I was still developing it. Was with a group of people, and they were all involved in circular economy. They were all concerned about the environment, about our footprint and everything. We played the game with the current standard monetary system. And within the game, you also pollute. You need to take care of your pollution because you do production and stuff like this, an import-export market, the entire thing. They polluted so much that they would not have survived the game. And these are people that are working around circular economy every single day. They were appalled by their own behavior after playing the game. This is the influence of a monetary system on people's behavior. That even though people want to do good, they're still being pushed into being destructive.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think that we have a phenomenon that we call here in Brazil, pororoca. Have you heard about this phenomenon called pororoca, Stef? No. It's an Amazonian phenomenon where the sea encounters the river, the Amazon River.
Yeah.
So in this pororoca phenomenon, is the name of it. You have a chaotic thing happen, but you have some chaotic things happening too.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting how you're sharing with us your perspective, and how you think that this can lead us to a paradigm shift. And
yeah.
in a way that is, you preserve the liberty to the people do whatever they want, right? If they want to have to individualistic lives, they have individualistic lives. But if they don't want to have a community, a societal life, they'll have community and societal lives. But we have to counter, we have to understand that we're now living in a huge effect, a planetary effect with climate change. And this virus is literally turning us in climate change. We are not living, we are the climate change itself now. Mm-hmm. So the ethos of the society as we know, in my sense, is for the first time in hundreds of years, is starting to die. It's starting to die in its excess. So we have the opportunity to make a real paradigm shift in the way of thinking, in the way of being, in the way of producing wealth. And so the question that I propose for you is, how could we do that with HAPPONOMY in the E2C token way? How do you envision that? How do you envision a sink, a fork, I don't know. How do you envision a way of doing what we're doing for the last 3 years with the E2C token, with hundreds or even thousands of people? Mm-hmm. How could we do that in a HAPPONOMY way?
I actually don't understand what you mean with that question.
Yeah, well, what I'm meaning is, I think that we have similarities here. We have a value in the realm of the value proposal. You are related to abundance, right? And we are related to abundance too. And the way that we are doing, it's very lightweighted in terms of systems thinking. It's more complex doing, and in that way, we'd like to scale up, but not scale up in the old sense, in the old ethos old sense. We'd like to scale up in a very peer-to-peer, in a very social peer-to-peer technology, in a very interactive way. And is the HAPPONOMY ecosystem open to do such experiment together?
Well, the thing there is, okay. When I look at E2C and I put it on the value canvas, I see a very strong social aspect. I see a very strong letting go aspect, but feeling at ease aspect is not covered so much.
Could you better elaborate that?
Yeah, so because this is also what we see with a lot of value-oriented entrepreneurs, that they really want to invest a lot on the I'll call the colors, right? So the social part is the green one, and the letting go or transcendence part is the purple one. And those are usually the two aspects that social entrepreneurs focus on the most. What they then forget is the yellow one, which is feeling secure, and especially and in the current system, our financial security, but also even in the E2C system. Well, you could say that you secure your financial security through the social part, but it is not a given. There might still be, and I'm not, and now I'm really talking about scalability. If you do this in a city of 1 million people, will people have enough trust that their security is guaranteed? And this has nothing to do with, yes, if everyone participates, then it'll work, because everyone needs to believe that it will work before they participate. And that might be an obstacle that I see in the E2C system, that if you are, I see it working in small communities really well, but I have my questions whether it would work in say, a city with 1 million inhabitants.
So I think that's the challenge. I think that's the thought experiment, or the experiment itself. You see, I think, I can't say even we, because this is a so organic, so distributed, so perspectival way that we have been co-creating E2C tokens along these 3 years, that it's, I can't, I might not doing the right thing saying we, right? But I think what I can say is, in between us, we have understanding that this is not, it can be scaled not, you see, like the E2C token as it is today is the core, is the DNA core of it, but we can fork it. We can have another versions of E2C tokens to run or to scale up. So that would be our horizon, our exploration horizon. That is something that's some folks here are interested to explore. How could we scale up in an interactive fashion, right? Not with the actual core of E2C token, but with a fork version of it. That would be something nice to do. So in that sense, you see some future to us to do some work together, Stef?
Well, I have to say that currently all of my time is now invested in trying to bring the sustainable money system to the world, and I just don't have enough time left to get involved in other projects at this moment. At HAPPONOMY as an organization, maybe there's someone interested in doing that, but I cannot make any promises. I can put it on the table and see whether anyone in the organization says, oh, I'd like to pick this up. But I have to be fair. I cannot promise that.
No, yes. You see, I'm not cornering you.
No. I don't feel cornered. I don't feel any aggression. I mean, this is a convivial chat. And if I could clone myself a couple of times, I'd love to come and help with some experiments, but I only have 24 hours a day, and it's already a bit too short for the moment.
Yeah. But you see, if in what aspects HAPPONOMY is an open source, or let's say open code proposal, value proposal, that can be appropriated from the commons, from the folks around here, from the explorers of the E2C token, for instance.
Well, as soon as we have our prototype of our sustainable money system, the code will be open source, so you can always clone that code and then adapt it to your needs. That's a possibility.
Yeah, because you see,
we only have a very simple proof of concept. We need to definitely need to do some work on that too, because right now it is not usable. We're also short on developers at the moment, so just we need to see how we solve that. All the models that we have on our website are open source, so if you want to use the value canvas and work with that, you can do that. You can just download it, print it out, work with it. If you want to work with the sustainable money system, you can download that, you work with that, adapt it. The only thing we ask is, if you use one of our models, please refer back to us. That's it.
Of course. That's interesting what you just said, Stef, because in the E2C token, I can now actually recognize and issue for you some amount of value, some amount of E2C tokens for you, and you can burn it, you can transform it in access to developers. What do you think about that?
That would be great.
Yeah, that's the shifting paradigm thing that I'm talking about. You see, it don't depend on the fiat money to do things happen. So,
but it is hold on. E2C tokens is fiat money.
Oh, I don't know about that. You can unpack it a little bit
Because
from
what
my perspective.
yeah, fiat money is actually you say letter B money. That's kind of
Yeah,
where
but
it
it
comes
has to
from.
be appropriated by the national states and the central
No,
banks.
no, 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 no. That's not true. That's no. That's just fiat money that is written into law. But the meaning of fiat money means that you can just say, I create money, just like that.
Okay.
So E2C tokens are a form of fiat money because you say, I see you do something valuable. I say, letter B money, and now it's yours.
So let's do this, folks. Who wants to recognize and issue to Stef some E2C tokens? And he wants to burn, he wants to transform in access to developers. So Jananda, Guga, Vanya, Amanda, Richard.
Well, for sure,
Yes.
for sure. I mean, yes. Let's make money. I owe you. This is the concept of I heard my father lived in the States like in the 1950s, and he said it was a common practice that came from before, that people would get a piece of paper and say, I owe you so much for a debt or something, you know. They would issue money right there, right then, a exchange token that they would say, you know, like, you know, I got your cattle, I owe you so much land or something, you know.
Yeah.
And this was common. Anyway,
Here we are,
I owe you.
folks. Jananda, would you start? Would you like to recognize an issue to Stef some E2C tokens?
I will recognize 10 tokens.
Well, you have to put it in words why you're recognizing Stef for his work.
Let me go to the
Do you want to make yourself the register here, or why do it?
yeah, I can do it.
Okay, so feel free.
I'm just gonna open it.
Yeah, that's really the beauty of it, Stef. And it's not a linear thing. It's not direct coupled with the current macroeconomic monetary system like real, dollars, or euros, and has this multi-dimensional way of burn it. Give access to all things that you need, you demand, or you want to co-create, not only for you but others. So here we go. Jananda, please.
Do I put it in English?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, for sharing his knowledge on economy and HAPPONOMY.
Now that I see there is an inflation here, because I said 10 tokens, but now the person before it's like 1,000. So I'm going to put 100.
You see, the thing about the amount, the quantity, it's very allegorical, it's very symbolical. It doesn't mean so much, but you can use it to burn the way that you want to burn. And it's really interesting how people get really creative here. Really creative. It's interesting. For instance, she's not here now, but there happened a global workshop these days, and one of the persons wanted to burn for the guy that give the workshop its talent to make video editions. The guy burned 0.1 E2C tokens. 0.1. It's a very interesting way of deconstructing our notions about quantity or the accumulation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very.
I think what you see there is loss aversion. The guy is probably not sure that he will be able to gain more tokens. So when he decides to burn, he makes sure that he still has enough in reserve.
Yeah, that occurred about a year ago, but nowadays folks understand that they can pick up 1,000 E2C tokens and burn it for a banana, right? And and it can burn 0.1 for a video presentation. So this is happening already. It's very interesting to see as a social and economic phenomenon. And there's something here that I want to share for at least, Stef, with you, is that this type of situation here, I don't know if I'm wait a minute. We're ending, okay, folks? We're all in the ending mode.
I put the link here on the chat so that anyone can go there and.
There's something here that I want to share with Stef as one last thing, and it's very interesting. Here we go. When are you seeing this, Stef? When we made this presentation a time ago with Jananda, we put these three folks here in different situations, right? Me recognizing and issuing 20 E2C tokens for Renan, and Renan burning 20 E2C tokens to access some bananas, some dried bananas. Okay, but these dry bananas, they were shared by Rodrigo in a constant mode. He's a micro producer of organic food here in Brazil, and he shared part of his production in a constant mode to people to access. You see, he's not interacting with Renan, but Renan views that Rodrigo has this, shares a part of his production for common folks to come, burn, and access the food that he produces.
Yeah.
And that's something very interesting. Another thing that is not here is, this is here, but what is not here, that everyone here can be recognized and receive E2C tokens. So you don't have different roles, right? Everyone can recognize an issue and can burn and can transform and access. So that's a very multi-dimensional thing to do. And we call it, we have actually in the spreadsheet, we have here in the spreadsheet, let me put it again, just a sec, please.
While you put it, I want to say something. Another interesting thing that happens during this exchange is that some people, when they don't have any needs, they acknowledge other people's needs, and they put that what they actually need is for anyone to help that other person, or to, you know, if the person wants some bananas, they say, I want my tokens to be burned with somebody giving bananas to this other person. Not necessarily for their own needs.
Yeah, you have a type of flow access commonplace here. You see, we call it available for common enjoyment. We have all sorts of things here, experiences.
I think it would be interesting if you would have the resources to implement this as an online game and see what happens. Because that way you could research your scalability. Because what, or you try to make it into some kind of card or board game and bring people together that don't know each other and see what happens.
Yeah, that could be a exploration. I can see it.
Games are excellent tools to research behavior.
Yeah, but Stef, you have two recognitions and issuing here from Jananda and Guga. Both issue you 100 E2C tokens for, so you have two opportunities to say for what you want to burn, for what you want to transform and access. We know it's for developers, so please, someone, or Jananda or Guga, could please write that.
I missed that. Write what?
Write that he wants to burn it, he wants to transform and access the E2C tokens that he received for developers.
Wait. Searching for it. Okay.
It's just in this column here, the person receiving have any desired form to transform and access. Yeah, that's it. So I think that's it. That's the thing as a whole, Stef. We really appreciate the time that you give. Right? It was very enjoyable. I think we learned a lot, and I hope that you learned too.
Yeah.
That you got some insight for your researches as a scientist, and the proposal that I make still stands. So if you want to take more time to dive with us and to see a way to fork out another version of E2C tokens to scale up in a more planetary way, feel free. Okay, if you want to share what we just all these talks that we're doing here with other folks around,
the thing is, I can give you some suggestions about how to move forward with this.
Great.
One of the best ways is try to destroy your own system. If you don't try to do that, you have to play the bad guy within your own system and try to take it down, because otherwise you will never be able to construct a system that withstands adversity.
Yeah, you're right.
And that means killing your own darlings sometimes.
You see, this is the third configuration of the exploration. We killed about 2 or 3 in this 3 years. So I think that we are aligned there. Yeah.
Because one of the things, and I've got, I always say it's a good thing I didn't become a criminal, because I'd be really good at it. One of the things that I can see as a potential danger is, say, I've got 3 friends of mine and we enter the system and we go like, we're going to exploit this. And we're just issuing currency towards each other and we make up things that we've did for the community. And it can be, we'll actually even do little things, but we can exaggerate. And now we can burn, we can start burning our money for stuff we want for ourselves. And then we leave the community with all the stuff that we got.
Okay, Guilherme would like to say something. Please feel free, man.
Okay, just to point out to everyone that me and Diogo Lopes, that may be still here with us, we are really involved on a project in the Amazon called the Farm of the Future. I have a meeting with Stef yesterday, I would say by a coincidence, and Stef is talking to their associates tomorrow about the Farm of the Future project and how can we move anyhow to make a prototype in there using the value canvas. he gave me the same perspective that he's really focused on other projects, but he's talking to people on his team to see if there's anyone with time and energy and connection with this project in the Araguaia River called Farm of the Future. And what we're doing there, Diogo is prototyping a collaborative store in the middle of the very poor area. I'm prototyping a future Farm of the Future modeling. We're not killing the actual system, but we are basically including the old system and transcending it, which is a different way to destroy the old system. But we're doing that on a very specific area where the soybean and the monoculture is arriving with a lot of power. And so there is a territory there with 800 families, 10 Incra assentamentos, which are human settlements, a very small city called Caziara with 5,000 people, the Farm of the Future, and the collaborative store that's called Rural and Natural. So just to point out that we have a project, territorially speaking, ready to move prototypings and innovations on money system.
Very interesting, Guilherme. Could we schedule an encounter for us to dive in, and to better understand all this proposal with you in the coming?
Yes, of course.
Because this has relationship with a lot of folks here. A lot of the exploration that folks are doing all over around this topic specifically. And Amanda that's here knows that there are guys here in Brazil that are doing something similar but very different, called Noosfera, and
yeah,
linked.
I was invited by Anna and by Eurico. Eurico already have been with us in the Farm of the Future. He spent like 10 days there. We made a very special course to agriculture families over there, and I'm really involved on Noosfera with Anna already.
Yeah, so that's nice, man. That's even nicer. So we can schedule a beautiful encounter and see what type of relationships we can encounter, interfaces that we can encounter between the E2C token exploration, Fluxa, that's the platform that Diogo Lopes is coding, as you know, and looking with let's say with HAPPONOMY metrics to do this together. See, I think that would be a nice place to start. I don't know. Well, Richard just I don't know, it was Richard that write it here in the chat. He put it, Vini, I don't understand about creating a token here in the third world to pay, recognize development coming from the developed country. Well, how can we settle these operations here? Well, I don't know, was Richard that made that right? That
there was Vanya. Was Vanya?
Was Vanya?
People Spring, right?
No, it was not Vanya. Was not Vanya.
Oh, okay.
Agora, não fui eu não. Foi o Rodrigo, que ele está como co-anfitrião do People Spring.
But he left already. He left already.
It's me, Anna from Noosfera.
Oh, Anna, are you here?
All right. All right.
Yes, my English is very poor. I can understand, but to talk is too much for me. But the Stef, he have a deep understand to the economic points they ever said. We can't just create and burn money. This we must look what this guy said. Very careful. This guy talk about deep things.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Yes, and I think the better thing we can do is play this game and learning a little bit
Yeah.
with this guy and experience in this international network. He talk about share and create value from ideas and a lot of things. Many people in the E2Glets make every day, and I think I start point is jump into this happy platform and enjoy. Uh, Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would
that's
I
right.
would like to I would like to acknowledge also that, you know, thanks Steph for his time and talk. And I would like to acknowledge that his suggestion of making a game out of what we got for E2C is a very important exploration, you know, and it may lead us to new realizations about what we really want with it, and perhaps find even a new shape for it, because you know, like once players that are not exactly trained or share our uh, understanding get into the game, how they will play it. Is the game safe for everybody, you know, when newcomers come? You know, this is an important question, you know, and it's very you know, it's like the truth of the real world. And I think an excellent exploration to do, and we may have the resources to do this next step. We have developers, we have people that would know how to make this into a game, and I think
I will.
this is interesting.
I'll
Yes.
I'll share two documents those are the game rules of the two games I've designed for the sustainable money system. If I can find my cursor on my computer screen. Hold on. Somehow my cursor has disappeared. Ah, there it is. Okay. The first one is the board game, which is more complex than the card game, which is the second one.
Cool.
Feel free to adapt the game rules, make it into your own game, but it might give you some inspiration.
Okay, folks.
Great.
Okay, I think that we came to the end here for the second round of conversations. It can continue, okay, Steph, if you feel that we need to continue to make more, share more our thoughts and our explorations, and have a deeper understanding of what are you doing, all right? I know that you are a researcher, a scientist, and it has another folks around HAPPONOMY that could come around, that could get here, sync, and share their perspectives. So it's very nice. And really, just want to know, want to make very clear that we're going to make with Shanna that's here an encounter to better understand the experience that she's doing there in Texas, right? And we're going to have an encounter with Guilherme Tesi and Diogo Lopes about the experience that they are having. So, so folks, that's it. Really a nice time together. Very happy here. Smiling faces all over around, please. Smiling faces, yeah. That's it.
Thank you, all of us. Steph, I just want to say about Edgar Gouveia. Did you hear some from here? Edgar Gouveia.
Have you heard about Edgar Gouveia?
No, I didn't.
At the Orkut time, he put a joke in Orkut, and who wants help the people they are broken with the tornado here in South Brazil, and he make a way of game.
Okay.
No money, and in 3 months he make more than 2,000 people take a bus and everything to drive to the Santa Catarina and help the communities over there.
Okay.
And here in Brazil, he is a person. This is he always say to me, "Look, do you want to make the people help? This must be with gincana." Como que diz gincana em inglês?
Boa pergunta.
That's a very good question. How to say gincana in English?
It's a kind of a competition.
It's a competition, yes. Yeah.
It's not competition, but it's é engraçado. É uma brincadeira.
Yeah, it's a concourse. It's a
game. It's a
yeah. It's a competition that is a game that is a common objective. Yes, something like that.
And okay, Anna, we have to go, my dear. Well,
okay.
Stef, very good to see you. Guilherme, Shana, Guga, Vanya.
Okay.
Nivea, Richard.
Bye.
Let's go,
Thanks,
folks.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao.